Today we're going to have the first tasting of my base porter with Crystal 40 Ale and Husked Carafa II. I am not looking forward to this one. I think this Husked Carafa II will work well in porters with something else, another adjunct in stouts. But hey, I have to make it just to see what we get. So as I said, this is the first tasting, so small batch, 1.25 gallons going into the carboy. 2 pounds, 4 ounces of Pale Malt, 4.8 ounces of Crystal 40. Now that is different than the other base porters because this is darker. This Carafa 2 is darker than most of the other adjuncts. I didn't want to go with that 7.5% of the grain bill. So 4.8 ounces of Crystal 40, then 1.6 ounces of Carafa 2. Now, from the Beersmith picture, this is going to be brown, darker brown color. For the hops, 1 hour boil, 0.15 ounces of Northern Brewer at 60, then 0.1 ounce at Flameout. SO4 yeast was used. So this was bottled on 123. 123, this is 218, so almost a month old. I wanted to pull it in because I have the 60L version of this that I'm also going to do, and I said, let's just go for it. So 4.92% ABV. Let me make sure my writing is correct. Yes, and Beersmith called for this to be 5.2% ABV. 7 carbonation tablets were used, the small pearl ones. So let's open it. Good hiss, good smoke. Yeah, I think this is more of like a filler just to make it darker. This Carafa 2. But hey, you never know. We'll see what it does. Carbonation looks like it's going to be good. Light tannin color, small and medium bubbles. I would say half and half. Not even, or I would say half a finger of head. Bubbles on the side are compact, like dish soap. Color. I would say brown porter. For the color, so a dark brown amber hue throughout most of it. Down in here, it is more of a burnt orange color. I cannot see the light box, so that's good. Let's go ahead and smell this thing. So before I get going, so dehusk malt. What that is, they take the husks off because usually the husk have the bitterness as astringency in there. So if you take them off, you should get less bitterness in there. So we're going to put that to the test and see. We will layer this with like chocolate malt or chocolate wheat or chocolate rye just to see how it does and see if it keeps that bitterness down. Because the one thing you have when you get into these darker malts, they are kilned longer, so you're going to get that ashy bitterness in there. So, smell. A little sweet, lightly roasted malt. I'm guessing some people would say like a very light coffee, but for me, I'm going roasted malt just because I know that's dark. The SRM that Beersmith has is 425, so I think that's where it's coming from. I think with these darker roasts, you are going to get a hint of coffee because it's roasted, but that's just me. So let's go ahead and taste. Watered down, slight, sweet biscuit. I like the aftertaste though. That sweetness kind of mixes with that roasted malt. I think because this is using the Crystal 40, it's a little sweet, light caramel in there, but because we're using that Carafa II, maybe that's blending with that and taking some of that caramel out. I think the aftertaste is where I get more caramel as the palate warms up. It's definitely better than I thought it was going to be. For a porter, it's pretty bland. I think that slight sweet caramel is just being pulled in from the Crystal 40. And then it's got a little roasted malt, which is obviously from the Carafa II. So I wonder if we're really going to get caramel malt out of that 60. So I just did the 60L version using the Simpson's brown coffee malt. And it kind of, it has it's similar. But the roasted malt in that caramel toffee is very light in this versus what was in that. I think this would work. Well, I don't know, because it's not really black. Maybe I should have went with that 7.5 instead of cutting it in half, because the other ones were using 3.2 ounces of the adjunct malt, and this is only using 1.6. So I took the other 1.6 and added it to that Crystal 40. I think, it's almost like that Crystal 40 might overpower it. Maybe if I put them both at 1.6 or a 3.2, depending. Yeah, it seems like this is more of a very light brown with a little bit of roasted malt, darker malt in there. Yeah. Definitely not one that I would make. I'd probably have to go 3.5, 3 out of 5 on this. I could drink it, but I have those other ones over there that are better, so I wouldn't. So I'm going to do a side-by-side of all these, and next will be the 60L version of this. So if you've used that Carafa II dehusk in a porter or stout, leave a comment down below and tell me what you used it in. If you like this video, check some more out over here. And until next time, happy brewing.